So today we're going to go after a nasty job. We're going to try to fix a cabin water leak on this 2005 VW Golf Mark IV. Now if you have one of these cars, you know that it leaks water right in here on the driver's footwell. And if it's not leaking right now, then it's going to be leaking soon. Feel your mat, feel your rugs. When it gets really bad, this fills up like a little fish pond down here. So what's causing that and how are we going to get rid of it? Well, it's a complicated job. We're going to tackle it today. Now, the first thing we have to do is mark the position of the wipers, because obviously all of this has to come out. We want to mark the position of the wipers so that we can get it right back where it was. I'm going to do that with some blue painter's tape. So the next thing we're going to do is start taking the wiper arms off, and we'll begin by popping these little caps with either a screwdriver or going to get under that cap and pop it. We got to do the same on the other side. Okay, paint scraper worked fairly well. See if we can get this one. This one's in the middle. Oh, never see that again. $13mm. Now the best way I know to pull those wiper arms off is with a small 2-jaw puller like this. Right tool for the job makes it very easy. Now the hardest part. We've got to get this plastic cowl out without cracking it, and it's very brittle. The other thing, notice that on this end, the cowl goes under the fender and under this window molding. Now on my other car, there's a separate piece here that ends up that I ended up cracking. Maybe this one's slightly different. This is not easy. A lot of guys end up cracking their cowl and have to buy a new one. Hopefully that's not going to happen to me. Let's go look at the other side. In order to get this out though, I'm going to have to remove this cover to the cabin air filter. So we got 4 Phillips head screws that have to come out first, right here. So okay, be interesting. Let's check the condition of that filter too once we get it out. Uh-oh, we got mice. Yeah, we got mice all right. Look at that. Oh, we're gonna have to evict the tenants. That's not good. Well, the next job is to remove this cowl. There's nothing in the way now. The wipers are gone. The cabin air filter cover is gone. Good thing we took that off because there's a huge mouse nest under there. So this has to come out, and it comes out by lifting it straight up from here. And the challenge is we got to get it up without cracking it, without cracking the windshield, without cracking our corner connectors. We want to pay close attention to how it goes back together. What's under what, what's on top of what. Definitely the window molding comes down on top of it. So I'm going to try prying it up and wish me luck. And so I want to point out that this cowl comes out through the top of the hood, like this. You can't pull it through into the engine compartment. It's got to come out this way. All right, if you try to put it back the other way, it's going to be a big mistake. So it comes out across the windshield. So here's where the leak comes from. I'm on the driver's side now. Very common VW problem. We're leaking right here. This is the hood release cable. The grommet that's supposed to seal this area is all cracked and petrified. It's leaking right through this grommet, leaking from the bottom side of this grommet. So this all has to be cleaned out spotless, and then we have to flex seal all around that grommet. That one right there, where the hood release cable is, right here. The leak is right there. And I'm right at the corner of the car. Here's the hood strut. And hopefully it's nice and warm today. That'll dry up good, and that'll be the end of my cabin leak. Still going to clean all this out, and that is quite a job. And we're going to have to deal with the tenants. We're going to have to clean all this crap off the windshield. This is really the hard part right here. So I'm going to get the vacuum, get the air compressor, try to find that cap I lost first before I blow that to smithereens or vacuum it up. Oh, never see that again. And we'll tackle this part. Now, when it leaks in the cabin, so the water is coming down from the underside of this grommet, which you can't see now because there's so much dirt here. And the reason it's so hard to find you're expecting a leak somewhere under here. There's your brake pedal, your gas pedal. So you're thinking it's leaking under here because this whole rug is just soaked. But it's not. It's leaking from the side panel. Here's your hood release. This is the hood release lever. I'm touching it right now. And it's leaking through here, through the side panel. It comes down and it gets the rug right through this area, right here. And comes down and then just spreads and soaks this whole compartment. So if you're looking under there, you're never going to find it. It's behind this panel, and when you take it back, it's that grommet. So this is a very common VW Mark IV problem, but if you don't know about it, it can be quite bewildering, and this eventually, if you don't take care of it, not only will it smell bad, it'll rust your floorboards. So yeah, we got to take care of it, and that's what I'm going to do right now. The hardest part of the whole job is this clean out. Yep, they ate right through it. Unbelievable. Well, we started out with a clean vacuum bucket. Look at the amount of debris that I vacuumed out of that wiper well. Here's the filter. Just incredible. Okay, so I've already cleaned the windshield. Now here's a better view of the problem. The leak is coming right here. This is your hood release cable. You can see this side right here. Looks like there might have been some sort of body filler or some sort. It's very hard right now. And you can see this grommet. This whole cavity fills up with debris. The sealant that was around here is cracked and broken, and the water goes right down through this cracked grommet. I don't know what I'm going to do about this piece. Maybe break that off and start fresh. Now I disconnected. There's this clips right in here. Just got it out of my way to give me more room to work. Now in the past I have used Alex Plus caulking compound and just mounded up a huge mound here like a volcano and let it dry a couple days. I was thinking I wanted to get this back together this afternoon, so I was thinking I might use Flex Seal instead, or maybe just do the smart thing and go with what I know works. Now the grommet also, see, the grommet is right, the bottom of it is right here. So where's it leaking? Is it leaking through here and through a crack I don't see on this side? Is it leaking through, I know it's the grommet. Once this is all sealed, the leak will stop. The Jetta has been dry for years. And if you look in the forums, this is the problem. So we're going to have to deal with that right now. And also, we've got a lot of debris out, so I might be a little bit better right now because we're going to go down the drain here. Before, there was so much crud buildup in here that water was going down through this, but we got to take care of it. But that's not your only problem. When you have this apart, pay attention to your windshield wiper linkage. This is the linkage. Starts here, comes across, bolts here, the wiper motor is in there, and here's where the driver's wiper arm attaches. Now, what happens with these linkages? These pieces move. There's a bearing in here. That bearing seizes. When this bearing seizes, the wipers will just very barely move. And they'll get stuck in the middle of the windshield. They won't come back to rest. You'll have no wipers. Not only that, but the wiper motor is going to be struggling the entire time you're driving the car. It's going to be struggling the entire time you're driving the car because it doesn't shut off until the wipers come back to rest. So while this is apart, I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to contaminate where I'm going to be putting some sealant. I am going to spray this bearing with lubricant. I'm going to clean it with my toothbrush. Get all debris, even a better cleanup job than I've done. I'm going to spray it right down here. Now, it's always this side that freezes. When this happens to you, you will find that this one here in the middle, which drives the passenger wiper, is not frozen. And you've got the same kind of affair under here, but that doesn't freeze. It's this one that seizes. But I'm going to lubricate both of these because I don't want to have to take this all apart again to service my wiper linkage. Now I have another video on wiper problems with the wiper relay. That's a different problem. So people who are having this problem with the wipers stuck in the middle of the windshield, and you mention wiper linkage and they don't know what you're talking about. Well, this is it. This is your wiper linkage right here. This is what makes the wipers go back and forth. Your motor's under this. So it's not a big job to replace this. But right now, I'm definitely going to lubricate it. So let me get working on this leak. And we'll see how we make out. Okay. So I broke this hard crusty piece off that was on the right side, and the leak, the grommet is actually split right here at the bottom, which you would not have seen unless this piece was broken off. This was that tower piece that was still there. Now, let me see if I can show you the crack. So it's here on, it's on the inside of this, more or less where the flashlight is shining. Right at the bottom, there is a split, which I think you can see it. You can just barely see it right now. See that black line? That's open. That's the crack. Right there. Okay, let's get to it. Well, anybody who tells you this is easy must have little tiny fingers, because even though I'm not that big a guy, that is quite difficult. Now, the last time I did something like that little white volcano that you see, I let it set up overnight and I hit it again the next day and ended up with something quite a bit larger. That worked. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I was careful to work it all into the underneath the grommet, to the sides of the grommet, to the top of the grommet, but I'm still not 100% certain that I've got everything on this side. And of course we want to keep the drain open. So we'll see. That's the first treatment. I still see a little of the grommet there, so we'll get that again tomorrow. Well, it's the next day. We had showers last night. So in order to protect your wide open area here and to keep water from going in the car, you can use a windshield cover, but you definitely don't want this one. Now I got this from Scamazon, and the interesting thing, see, is I got this card. Claim your $30 Amazon gift card. Yep, mailed to me. And essentially what this says: we hereby write to you with respect, as we wish to know if the item you received from us serves you well. To return your help, you can redeem a $30 free Amazon gift card after you share your shopping experience. Step 1. Sign into your Amazon account, find orders. Step 2. Click write a product review, rate it 5 stars, and share your experience. Step 3. Contact us to get a free $30 Amazon gift e-card. Well, that's dishonest. So what's the real review of this car cover? Let's see. Now on a 5-star basis, I'll give it 1 star for waterproof material. This nylon, it's like a parka type material. It does shed water. You can see the water beaded up on it here. So yep, the material does shed water. I give it 1 star for that. And then it just barely fits the car. But it does fit. So I'm going to give it 2 stars. It earns its 2nd star because it just barely fits. Now, I'd like to have seen it a lot wider. I like to see it following this line right here, because this is very close to giving way and letting water in. Then what's this stuff that I had to add? Well, you're about to see that this quickly blows off the car, because it only has 3 magnets. A very weak magnet here, a very weak magnet in the middle sewn in, and a 3rd one on that side. There's none whatsoever on the top. How did they expect this to stay stuck on the top? But then again, maybe I have it upside down. I don't know. It doesn't seem to fit, because this is where the mirror is. If I do it the other way, the strap is way up here. Maybe it's upside down. There are no instructions. No instructions whatsoever. It's not marked top or bottom. It's not marked inside or outside. I don't know if I have it inside out or right side up or upside down. No instructions. No instructions means you don't get the 3rd star. And then what about practicality? Does it work at all? Well, you can see I've got all these magnets. Look at the size of that bar magnet I put up on top. Let's test this affair to see if it serves the purpose to which it's intended. Now, to do that, I'm going to set you up in a stand, and since it's a nice day today, I'm going to use my Homelight leaf 2-speed leaf blower, because apparently there's no wind in China. There's no rain in China. There's no snow and ice. They don't have any storms in China. So today's a nice day, but we're going to simulate a storm. See what happens. Okay, will it earn its 3rd star? We'll start on low speed. High speed. Okay, so that worked. Now let's see what extra material I had to add to this to make it work. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. $12, $13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18 flag magnets, plus one big Harbor Freight bar magnet. This is actually a tool magnet. So 18 flag magnets from Scamazon, one big tool magnet from Harbor Freight, and it worked. The typical storms that we get with 35 mile an hour winds gusting to 40, 50, 60 miles an hour that can last 12 hours all night, all day, it works. This works. If you can do this, it's going to work. But that's the way it comes from the factory. Let's see how it does the way it comes from the factory. Okay, same test. Start on low. Like I said, they don't have wind in China because obviously the product manager who should have tested this would have seen this immediately. In order for a windshield cover to work, there has to be a continuous seam of very strong magnets. Without it, it's totally useless. This product is lucky to get 2 stars from me. Let alone, they want 5 stars for this piece of crap? You gotta be kidding. Now, let's talk about this material here. It's quite wet in here. You can see all the water that got through last night. So, when the windshield cover is attached to the hood and heavy rain comes, if you don't support this area over the cavity, I'll call it the wiper well, what you get is a puddle here. So, you get a big puddle, and the weight of the water causes the windshield cover to retract, and all the water slips underneath because there's no supplied filler for the wiper well. I had to make this filler out of bubble wrap. So no 4th star because without one, the product fails miserably. Then there's this thing. Let me roll down the windows. So we have this big flap, one on either side, and I assume that this has to go inside the car, but if you've got crank windows, how do you get these to go up? And not all cars have windows that roll up when you stick the key in the lock. This VW has that. My Jetta has crank windows. This Subaru has power windows, but they don't go up with the key in the lock. So, I mean, this makes no sense. What if you put it on the other side? Well, if you rotate this, again, there's no instructions. If you rotate this so that it's on this side, what are you supposed to do? Put it under the hood? But nothing here makes any sense whatsoever. It makes no sense. This is at best a 2-star product. The only way there are any 5-star reviews for this product is because somebody opted for the $30 gift card. And that is why you should never believe any 5-star reviews on Amazon. You're judged by the company that you keep. Most of it is fake. Okay, let's see where we stand. Left some mouse traps in here last night. Well, that one's not occupied. How about this one? This one's not occupied either. And there's our caulking job. Doesn't look too bad. I'm going to put a bunch more on that right now. Or maybe I'll give it a bit to dry up with the hood open. Now, I think I'll take a bit more time to talk about the wiper linkage. When I had this leak on my Jetta, I didn't know about the wiper linkage. And 9 months later, my wipers froze in the middle of the windshield. And as I said before, it's this side right here, driver's side. These bearings freeze. I don't know if it was the bottom one or the top one, but it's frozen. It doesn't move. Once that was busted off, the other side moved like brand new. No problem whatsoever. This side is all bound up. That happened about 9 months later. I had to take the whole thing apart again to replace this. Now today is about April the 16th. Yeah, I believe it's April 16th, 2024. 9 months from now are going to put me at the end of December, early January 2025. Here in New England, that's temperatures near 0 degrees, snow, sleet, ice, high wind. No, I don't want to be, and no wipers. I don't want to be taking this apart in the middle of winter. So if I had half a brain, I would pause this repair. I'd order up one of these and put it in right now, because I know what's going to happen 9 months from now. On the other hand, it would be interesting to know how long I could get by lubricating this. Would it prevent it from happening? I know it's going to happen. If I lubricate these two bearings here and here, would that postpone it? And how much more time would I get? I don't know. Now, regarding the removal of this linkage, it's very easy. You've just got 3 bolts. There's one here, one here on the motor mount, and one there. They come right out. This thing just pulls right out of here. Remember, your car's not going to have a mousetrap in it. Then 2 more little bolts on the motor, and the motor disconnects, just a plug-in. Now here's what most people don't know or don't realize. After you get the motor disconnected from here, it's not the motor. Your motor's going to be fine. It's the linkage that's frozen. But everybody buys a motor because they just don't want to listen. That's fine. Either way, if you're reusing your old motor, you've got to put it back in the car without the linkage. Just lay it in this compartment and plug it back in. Turn your car on, the motor will immediately return to rest. Because right now your wipers are stuck in the middle of the windshield and you probably didn't mark them when you took this all apart. You want that motor back at rest. So you've plugged in your old motor after you've removed this, you took the motor off the bracket, off the old bracket, and before you put that motor onto the new bracket, you stick it back in here, plug it in, and let it return, start the car, let it go to rest. Now, when you put this whole thing back together, we're going to measure this distance to show you where the wipers should be, and you'll have no problems. Because if you don't do this, you're going to have nothing but trouble, and that's the mistake that most people make. So again, once you get this out of the car, remove the motor from this bracket, bring the motor back to the car, plug it in, just let it lay in here, plug it in, start the car. It's going to go right back to rest. Actually, it'll be a rotary thing, goes right back to rest. Turn off the car, you're good to go. Now when you put in the new assembly with the old motor on it, you're going to adjust your wipers to where I've put this blue tape. So let me get a ruler. We're going to measure the distance from the bottom of the windshield to the tape, and that's where the top of your wiper arms should be. All right, let's measure that. Okay, we've got the bottom of the ruler at the very bottom of the windshield. And that's roughly 3 inches to the top of the wiper blade on the driver's side. I think if you're off by a couple millimeters, it doesn't make any difference. So again, I'm right here. The cowl is going to snap into this groove, so it gives you an idea of where it's supposed to be. How high does the cowl go? The cowl is probably up here. So from the top of the cowl, since the cowl is going to be back in place when you're doing this, it's more like 2 1/4 inches from the top of the cowl. We'll measure it again when I'm all done. And on this side, I'm going to assume that the top of the cowl is right about here. First we'll measure from here because that's what we did before. So on the passenger side, we're about 2 1/4 from the bottom of the windshield. And since we assume the cowl is here more or less, that's only about 1 1/4. It's very important that you get this adjusted right. So once we have this all back together, we'll be sure to come back and take an exact measurement. So like many projects, you see how this has cascaded. We started with a water leak, a very, very annoying, destructive water leak that's in that corner. We found a huge mouse nest on the cabin air filter, so now we have to order up a new cabin air filter. And I know that if your car is going on 20 years old, because that's when it's going to happen, here in New England, this is a 2005, it's now 2024, so this is going on 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, that linkage does not have much time left. But maybe we can extend it with lubrication. I am pointing it out. Just want you to know. So it's cascaded. We start with the leak. We find not only all that junk that we had to vacuum out and blow out, we find a mouse nest. We need a new cabin air filter now. And I'm telling you, if I could get that linkage today, if I knew I could run to a parts store and get that, but you can't, it's going to have to be ordered, I would be putting that in right now. Should have ordered one before I started this job. Because I don't want to do it again. Alright, right now we're going to put some more caulking compound on that leak, and I guess go on to something else while that's drying. Well, it's quite a bit later in the day. I put quite a bit more Alex Plus caulking compound on here. So now we're going to spray this linkage. I've got some brown paper. Hopefully that's going to catch the WD-40 and stop it from dripping on top of that. Well, I don't know. Well, I may live to regret not changing that now, come December, January 2025, but we'll see. Well, before I replace the cowl, this is the window for the vehicle identification number. It's quite cloudy. I don't know that there's much we can do about that, but I'm going to try. I have two different Meguiar's products here. Had very good luck with this plastic polish, mirror glaze. Unfortunately, this is probably 40 years old. This one's only a couple years old. This is new and improved. Plastic X. They're really, to me, they seem like the same product, but we'll give it a try. See if it makes any difference. Definitely a two-hand job, but here's your before. I'm going to polish it up, see if it looks any better. Well, not perfect, but for a few seconds work, there is improvement. Now, the last time I did this, I had a very hard time getting this cowl to set back into place correctly. So it's this ridge right here that I'm following. You've got to clean that extremely well. There can't be any little bits of grit or dirt or material still stuck to it. So I've gone over it and over it and over it. But even then, I've also cleaned out the track, which is right here. And as soon as it dries, you see more. But at some point you're going to say, well, that's good enough. And I learned the last time I was getting nowhere until I sprayed lubricant into this track. So even though there's not much in there, I'm going to try putting some silicone lubricant in here. I think last time I might have used WD-40. I got a can right here. Something has to go in here without making a mess, or it's just not going to go. So word to the wise, this has to be extremely clean and lubed if you want any chance of getting this plastic cowl back on without breaking it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to lube it. So we've got some liquid wrench silicone spray, and we have good old WD-40. The problem with this can, with every one of the cans like this that I've tried, is this swivel nozzle It doesn't spray very well. It makes a mess. So I think I'm going to use this just because I know it's going to come out of the wand without a problem. Okay. And now the car. Okay, so we've got this to snap back in. Alright, we've got this side under the molding. That's going to have to go there. Okay, we got that side under the molding. Wipers are coming up through their access holes. Now, there we go. Lubricated, it went down. Oh, so easy this time. It's snapping right in now. Oh, that silicone worked pretty nice. That's it. Put the rest of it together. But first I want to show you something. You remember how difficult it was to read the VIN before? Well, we only spent a minute or two with some Maguires on this, and look, pretty easy to read it now. It's not perfect, obviously. Did only spend a minute or two, but look at the difference that made. And look at the difference siliconing that track made. Went right in. Alright, let's get the rest of it together. I have a new cabin air filter on order. It's not going to be here for a week or so. So we still have to put this together in the meantime. Okay, that should keep water out until the new filter arrives. Easy enough to change. This just snaps in on top of this. The last thing will be these wiper arms. Unfortunately, I lost that clip. It's easy enough though. Just line up the top of the wiper arms with the blue painter's tape, replace the nuts and tighten them using a 3/8" ratchet, a short extension, and the 13mm socket. Okay, let's re-measure those distances. Now I've got the tape right at the center of the wiper blade, right at this joint. And I'm going to measure from the top of the cowl to the tape. And that's about 1.5 inches, maybe 1 9/16 inches. So we'll call that one 1.5 inches. And this one, same thing. Center is right here, so okay, take the center there. That's 2 inches. So driver's side, the top of the wiper blade is 2 inches above the cowl. Passenger side, the top of the wiper blade at the knuckle there is 1.5 inches above the cowl. That's the way they were. They were working perfectly. They're right back in exactly the same spot. So I'm not going to have any trouble with them banging the corners or not setting down right. It's exactly the same. So all I have to do now is pop on these little caps and we're all done. So same as before, I hit these with a little bit of silicone. I want them to go right in. Don't want to crack them, haven't broken anything so far. We don't want to spoil it now. So you might be wondering, how did I get this cap that I lost before? Well, I actually jacked up the car and had to crawl underneath it and blow out the shields with my air compressor till I finally blew it out of there. Well, that should be the end of the job except for the cabin air filter. This worked on my Jetta, went a lot easier this time on the Golf, having done it before. So I hope these step-by-step instructions really take the mystery out of it for someone. I hope it helps someone. And as always, thank you so much for watching.